So that's why this is popular. Today I'm talking about Cliffside, an animated pilot created by Liam Vickers, also known as the creator of Murder Drones, Internecion Cube, and Scary Stories, and worked on plenty of other things. I'm trying to go through and talk about every Liam Vickers project because I like a lot of them, and here we are talking about Cliffside. Obviously, before we get into the video, all of the Cliffside stuff is Liam's. You can go watch it on his channel, and if you haven't watched it for whatever reason, I would recommend it. There will be links to Liam and Cliffside in the description, and it will also be at the end of the video. So go watch it and subscribe to him if you haven't. But in this video, I'll be going over a bunch of information on Cliffside and rambling about it. So if this video is 30 minutes long, sorry about that. I'll be going over the episode, the future of Cliffside, some information on it including what the cast went on to do, behind the scenes kind of stuff like art about it and monster designs and future stories, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and also a little bit on the fan side of things. This video will have chapters, so you're free to skip around. This video is made because, simply put, I like a lot of Liam Vickers stuff and I want to ramble about them, so let's get into it. On the 20th of May 2018, Liam Vickers uploaded the pilot for Cliffside, an 11-minute animation about cowboys and monsters. Up until this point, Liam Vickers had done Scary Stories, music, and some animation stuff, with the only one uploaded to the Liam Vickers channel before this being Let's Split Up, a short animation about Wendigos. But yeah, before Murder Drones and Internecion Cube came Cliffside, a proof of concept showing what Liam could do given an actual show. Based on the credits, I'm assuming this was a project for school that he also decided to upload to YouTube after a year or two of working on it. And the internet reacted pretty well. It was pretty positive and people overall really enjoyed it and wanted more. But here we are 7 years later with no episode 2. So again, in this video, I'll be rambling about it and what happened, but I think it makes more sense if we start off by going over the episode. The pilot starts off with a cool dramatic voiceover, introducing us to the town of Cliffside, which is currently being invaded by a monster. This voice is Waylon, the main character of the show. He's a wannabe gunslinger who pretends he's way better than he actually is, but he may or may not have a good heart deep down. This is his friend Jo. She's quiet compared to Waylon, but in comparison she's actually able to get the job done while Waylon can't. Waylon tries to defend the town from the creatures, but yeah, he's shit at this. Thankfully, Jo knows how to shoot a gun, so she easily takes care of the problem.
Nice! I'm a better shot than I thought. Oh, Joe, help! I was being cheeky. I know you shot them.
I'm sorry, I learned my lesson.
Secretly, I haven't learned a thing. Oh my god, the other one's coming. Now I'm learning my lesson twice as fast. No!
Moving on to the rest of the episode. It starts with Waylon pretending he's a no-good, dastardly gunslinger. 2-bit Jerry. He once shot a man just for looking at him once. Even going on about what he did in the intro, shooting 50 monsters. Not even crying once, because that totally happened, definitely. He would never lie about such a thing.
Then I shot him again for dying. Pew, pew.
Jo tells him to just stand watch while she goes to investigate this turned over train, but Waylon decides to go grab his gun that he accidentally threw away. So he walks into the forest to pick up his gun and...
Whoop.
Waylon is caught in a spiderweb, and with a horrifying looking spider girl ready to eat him.
For my eyes.
Okay, that was weird.
No, it wasn't. It was horrifying. I'm going to eat you now. Ow.
You know why people like this character. This is Cordy, the actual star of the show. She's an obsessive spider girl who's very creepy, but also sweet and nice, I guess. Look, she's the Liam Vickers crazy girl of the show, because he always has one in every single show he does. Waylon continues the lie that he's been talking about for the entire episode, pretending he's a big bad gunslinger, and this interests Cordy, so he continues to go on about his stories, distracting her long enough to cut himself out of the web. On the ground, Cordy meets up with Waylon, but they're interrupted by a pterodactyl monster named Yannis, and death itself showing up. Yannis wants to eat Waylon, so tells Cordy to hand him over, and just go keep watch or something instead of standing around her area trying to look for food. However, that angers Waylon to the point where he throws a rock at Yannis, and then takes out his own frustrations on Yannis while accidentally sticking up for Cordy. This angers the monster, so it picks the two up, flies them up to the sky, and then throws them to the floor, hoping it will kill them. Cordy is surprised Waylon stuck up for her, and this just makes her even more obsessed. So, using her webs and some questionable physics, she attaches to Yannis and holds onto Waylon, with the two landing on the ground safe somehow. Now completely infatuated, Cordy wants to be just like Waylon. Now at this point, could Waylon just come clean and admit, yeah, I kinda lied about some of that stuff. All of that stuff.
Well, since you've seen how great I am, I suppose I have no choice.
But this is Waylon we're talking about, so instead it leads into a montage of him teaching Cordy. Throughout the montage, Cordy becomes really good at using guns and her webs, and the montage comes to an end with the two robbing a bank while Cordy uses her abilities. Yeah, this didn't really go as planned for Waylon. Waylon tries to stop Cordy and tell her, hey, you know, we probably shouldn't be doing this. But he's stopped as some of the townsfolk, led by Joe, shoot into the bank, telling the two to come out. Cordy refuses to be taken alive, so Joe simply shoots through the door and, oh hey, they redid that scene in Murder Drones. Joe sees Waylon as one of the robbers, which angers her enough to the point where she turns more southern, and pretty quickly Cordy gives up once Joe simply raises her voice. Waylon tries to tell Joe how cool Cordy is and, you know, everything that just happened, even how they took down a giant pterodactyl and death itself. I mean, you can't really kill death itself. I mean, that's kind of his whole thing, you know, and you can't really kill death. It's what he does. Yes, I mean, yeah. Wait, what? So it turns out Death isn't dead and he's here to kill Waylon. Joe gets Waylon to learn his lesson, but agrees that he can learn it within a standoff with Death. Waylon tells Cordy he lied, and then they get into position of a standoff with Death.
Hey, Death! Why don't you pick on someone from your own metaphysical plane of existence? Prepare yourself, Death. I'm gonna do something I should have done to you the first time we met. Giving you validation. See, Mr. Death itself, I learned something today. Therefore, the moral of this episode is, if you validate someone enough, you can manipulate them into doing whatever you say. Good job, Death. Who's a good little Death? You are. You earned that sheriff star, didn't you? Please don't kill me. No, wait. You know, technically, you being our sheriff and protecting the town would mean less dead people and less work for you if you think about it. Huh?
He didn't learn a thing.
And with that, the town of Cliffside has a new sheriff. All's well that ends well. The episode ends with the three talking in a saloon, and Joe asks if one of them can keep watch. The final scenes are them walking away, while Cordy asks what happened to the previous sheriff, to which Joe doesn't know, and the episode ends with Waylon giving the camera a mischievous smile. And that's Cliffside, the entirety of the pilot. I'll let the credits play out here because, you know, good job to everyone who worked on this, it's really good. And just to give my final quick thoughts on it. I really enjoyed the pilot, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect or anything, but it's fun and it showed off the world pretty well. It definitely has that Liam Vickers style, even just down to the characters and some of that comedy, like a lot of meta stuff is in there. Overall, I think it's fun, and it definitely left me wanting more from the world and characters, which is one of the main things a pilot should do. So I think it did a good job, even if it's not for everyone. Personally, I'd definitely like to see more on the world and characters. But is there ever gonna be any more? Let's talk about it. So, on the topic of more Cliffside, sadly, it looks like the chances are kind of low. After the pilot came out, a lot of people saw it and enjoyed it, so seeing the support for the series, Liam Vickers actually pitched it to a few networks. However, we're here in 2025, so I think you can guess how that went. Back in 2020, Liam made a video updating people on some of his projects, including Cliffside. The pilot was only a proof of concept, showing off what Liam could do given the budget and team. Sadly, that means it was too ambitious for him to continue on YouTube just in his free time or even with Patreon money. But, in good news, I don't think Cliffside was completely forgotten. One, the Liam Vickers Discord has its own area for Cliffside, and he still talks about it. It's still a pretty big project that I'm sure Liam enjoys. By the way, yes, I did finally join the Liam Vickers Discord. And also, it's very likely that Glitch actually saw the pilot, and maybe that's what helped Liam Vickers get murder drones. Some people actually do hope Glitch will pick up the show, but I don't think they'd do that, especially after everything with murder drones. I think Liam just needs a rest for, I don't know, maybe another 20 years, and then he'll start doing something again. Although, with the success of murder drones, I could definitely see a network wanting to pick up Cliffside and do something with it. I'm sure Liam already has a rough plan of what he'd do with a full-on series. Let me look at this now. The newspaper. Yeah, you know that thing that comes up for like 2 seconds? Well, I read the entire thing and I wanted to talk about it. One of the things it says is that the pilot was originally meant to be 22 minutes. Which obviously leaves the question of what would those extra 11 minutes be. Maybe it just would have been some extra scenes for stuff, like Waylon telling Cordy he lied to her. And there's also some stuff with Death in there, and I don't know, it just sounds like Death really has a plan. And there's also some stuff about a guy being trapped in the news building. So that could probably be an episode. Cordy, Joe, and Waylon going to save this guy. It also says that the monsters are among them. Again, another episode idea. Basically what I'm saying is, there's a lot of stuff you could do. They could do a episode on the backstory of Cordy. Was she like a spider that turned into a human, or a human that turned into a spider? Was one of her parents a spider and one a human? That could mean that Cordy's dad did a spider, and then probably got eaten by the spider. I don't really want to think about that one, so I think we should ignore that backstory. We should just get rid of it. I don't think it's important, actually. I think Cordy can just be Cordy. Okay, I'm really sorry. This stuff wasn't originally planned for the video because I had no clue it existed. So, if the video ends up being 20 to 30 minutes long, my apologies, but I wanted to put this information here instead of making it its entirely own video, which it could be, and I still might make it its own video just so people can find it better and I get to ramble about it a little more. But thanks to the Liam Vickers Discord, I was able to find some information on what could have been from Cliffside and other episodes, and I feel I have to include that in the video about Cliffside. So thank you to the rats on Discord. They pinned a lot of this stuff and made it really easy to find, so I'm basically just going to tell you exactly what they uploaded. So again, thank you to them for putting this information out there and having it clearly found on the Discord. The whole idea of Cliffside came from Liam just wondering what horror stuff was out there, and that does fit with his previous work of scary stories and Let's Split Up. Even mentioning cryptid sort of monsters, like ones that people think are real, like Bigfoot, Mothman, Wendigos, Skinwalkers. I mean, maybe they are real, we don't know. And I assume at some point Liam thought it would be really cool if they were cowboys. So somebody asked Liam, where do the monsters from Cliffside come from? And he responded saying they're on track, and it's a little bit of everything. Cliffside is an altered version of history where everything is pretty much the same until the American Westward expansion. The creatures are only found in Cliffside and the surrounding areas. Certain creatures are just products of timey-wimey wackiness, and the cliffs pulling things from other dimensions. and that aspect is kind of a bit of the entire mystery for the series, so he won't go into much more detail about it. This creature is one that I don't know how to pronounce the name of. Basically, it's a natural disease that kind of takes over things. It was originally backed into a corner by the settlers as they pushed further west, and this was meant to be the series' overarching antagonist, not resting until the west was wild again. There was quite a few questions on what is Cordy, and if she was always a spider or if that was just something that happened. But every time somebody asked Liam, it basically came down to, can't answer that, it would have been a big point in the series. Also, some fun stuff. Apparently, she wasn't even designed to really be a spider. She was more just designed to be a monster in general, which I think is pretty interesting that everyone's been calling her a spider when that was not the original intent. The same actually happened with the Wendigos. They're not Wendigos, they're just shadow monsters, but people started calling them Wendigos, so Liam went with it and was like, sure, they're Wendigos. But that also links into how the Wendigos from Let's Split Up and Cliffside are two completely different things, and they don't have the same abilities at all. The ones in Let's Split Up can shapeshift, but the ones in Cliffside can't. Also, Liam says the Let's Split Up Wendigos are kind of inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing, which makes me like the graphic novel's horror variants even more. So I kind of like that work that he started off being inspired by is still being put into his newer works. Cordy is not in love with Waylon. It's more of just like seeing Waylon as a sort of somebody she could be and somebody to look up to. So, Cordy simps, you still have a chance. If you ignore the fact this is a fictional character that doesn't exist, you still have a chance, don't worry. Waylon's 15, Joe is 16, and Cordy's age is unknown. Very spooky. Joe's full name is Joe Constance, and she lives with her dad, Reverend Constance, in the saloon that we see at the end. Her dad's actually the town's feared minister, and he rules with an iron fist, but he is a spineless wimp around his daughter, who he can't really connect with. In early animatics and drafts of the pilot, he was actually meant to be a bigger part, giving him and Joe a father-daughter bonding arc, but he was written out of the episode entirely. He was roughly designed for storyboards, but no artwork has been released of him yet. And Blueberry Bill is likely cut from canon for good. Waylon does have a family member who is a true outlaw that he aspires to be like, and this character also plays into the mystery of Cliffside, but this likely won't be his father. This is still in development though, or was in development years ago, so who knows. So basically, Blueberry Bill was Waylon's dad, and was an actual outlaw who Waylon kind of wanted to be like and looked up to because he was his father and wanted to, impress his father. But his father kind of used Waylon, and after a robbery gone wrong, left Waylon, who then got exiled to the town of Cliffside, but because he was too young, they didn't kill him, and instead he just kind of lived there from now on. This could explain the turned over train in the beginning, and explain why nobody really knows Waylon, with the newspaper saying he's just a random kid. Although he did shoot the sheriff. I'm very, very sure he shot the sheriff. It is implied by his smile, and when somebody asked Liam, he just gave a wink. Waylon definitely shot the previous sheriff that died. Okay, on to one of the things I actually think is really cool and I felt like I had to include in this video. There is part of an episode that could have happened for Cliffside. So let's talk about that one. While all of the monsters Liam made art of were meant to be ideas of what they could have faced in other episodes, none of them really had many stories behind them except of course the disease one, but that was meant to be like an overarching thing. So according to Liam, the only future episode he really blocked out beyond the basic premise was one where a group tries to steal a safe of some horror stuff off a train. Death then sends in our main trio to go solve the problem and stop that from happening, and they even end up teaming up with Yannis, who's still a bit angry over, kind of being killed last episode. Also, I think Yannis was killed. Somebody asked and Liam simply said, she's best friends with Death, and look at her head, it looks like she's died before. This episode was mostly meant to set up the series as just like overarching mysteries with what the horrors could have been, and also Death as the town sheriff. Honestly, I'm really liking the idea so far, and I wish we had more of this. But yeah, I really like rambling about this stuff, so I'm sorry if this added like an extra 5-10 minutes onto the video, but I really wanted to ramble about it. I just like Liam Vickers projects, okay? I like him, I ramble about him. This YouTube channel isn't really made for views or like subscribers, it's just kind of made for me rambling about shit I like. And that was just some stuff I found on the Discord. After I'd edited that, I then found out there was some stuff on his Tumblr, so here's some of that stuff. Like, look at this Cordy Gunslinger design. Artists, I'm not telling you what to draw, but it is a small suggestion. I mostly bring this up because 1, it's interesting art that I don't think many people have seen, unless obviously you've went out of your way to look for this. And 2, I actually want to talk about Cordy's legs for a second. I know that sounds really weird, but Liam is still not really 100% sure what he wants with the legs. As of 2024, somebody did ask Liam about Cordy's legs, to which he said he was happy to answer, mostly to correct the record. Forget any previous sketches. Double down on the fact that the design is that there could be any number of creepy crawlies of any length. Possible other horrors hidden under her dress. The dress is just a necessary part of her design because that's how her design should function. Those searching for answers beyond that are doing a disservice to themselves and the fun of the character. I assume this is mostly because Liam wants Cordy to be more monster-like, so the legs are a pretty good example of that. Maybe just under the dress is like a void, just like Mary Poppins' bag or something. I did find some stuff related to other monsters, including the Chupacabra. In earlier drafts, Yannis actually had one as a best friend named Ares that rode around on her back instead of Death. However, he was brutally murdered by Cordy. This does make me think an episode idea could have been a Chupacabra invading the town, Joe wanting to kill the monster but Waylon instead deciding to tame it or something, and then the town just has like a pet dog basically. I was able to find another episode idea, this one an official what could have been, and this one is about the siren monster. The episode idea would have followed Waylon trying to set the siren up with Joe. However, instead of a love, Joe is more interested in killing the monster. But along the way, Waylon and the siren actually start to realise they have some stuff in common and develop a sort of bromance. And by the time Waylon realises he was the true target, he's already been manipulated into isolation. Fun fact, Cliffside was animated in Toon Boom. I have no experience with the software or anything, I just saw this and thought somebody might find that interesting. Also, I found these rough designs before Cliffside really had a style to them. I definitely prefer the final product that we got. And the Waylon design was also used in some old storyboards I found. There's even more of these beta designs, including this lot of Cordy, and a quick thank you to the user on Discord, Banana Milk Snakes, who loves milkshakes, bananas, and snakes, for sending me this official Cordy art. There was also some backgrounds, including these designs, which are much more blue. I don't know, maybe that went into Murder Drones. Murder Drones is a pretty blue show. Or it could just be a complete coincidence and I'm grasping at straws here. Probably the second one. I do think a lot of ideas that Liam has in his other works do end up getting reused or reimagined into his newer works. For example, the stuff with Joe's dad, I think, at least to me, sounded like what could have been between Uzi and Khan. And I also think the infection monster that was meant to take back the West, I'm sure some of the ideas for that ended up getting changed a bit into the Absolute Solver with all of its, like, eldritch monster things. I just find it kind of interesting to see all this stuff from one work make its way into another work. I need to move on to the next part before I just get caught in a loop rambling. I thought it would be interesting to look at some of the stuff the other people who worked on Cliffside have done, so let's do that. The music is by Jesper Ankarhfeldt, a Danish film composer. I looked at his website and it does seem a little bit outdated, but he does have a bunch of notable projects, and Look, Cliffside is even on that list of his notable stuff. So here's the music credits for all the people in like the descriptions and stuff of the songs. There's about 9 Cliffside songs, if I'm right, that are done by Jesper and these people. One song is actually done by Liam Vickers, and that's Yannis' theme. In true Liam Vickers fashion, it's a trashy, loud electronic song. I guess this explains why Yannis' theme is the one that is remixed for the lo-fi version. Cordy's voice actor has been in a few projects. I was even able to find her website, but other than that, I didn't really get much on her. Gavin Lang, the sound designer and voice actor for background Street Crosser, actually went to work on Into the Spider-Verse, according to his IMDb. Yannis' voice actor was actually a bit of a surprise. I was able to also find her website by simply looking up the name, and even found her resume on the website, which confirmed it was the same person, as it's the same school, same year, same thing. And she actually worked at some places like Disney, and currently, or at least at the time the website was last updated, worked as a product designer at Apple. Joe's voice actor Tess Shermel went on to work on a few other projects, including Internecion Cube as the voice of Kiri.
I'm not at liberty to discuss Max's situation with you.
And while not a voice actor on Cliffside, I can't forget about the creative consultant Katie Hood. I know she's been on some scary story stuff. She also was the voice of Lizzie in the pilot for Murder Drones, and even got a special thank you at the end of Murder Drones. But what I know her for is being the voice of Icon in Internecion Cube.
Those aren't.
Inferior! But it's fine. He'll rock out eventually, and I'll assimilate his heart tissue for my battery. And then I'll consume the universe!
It makes sense why she's been in so many Liam Vickers projects, because the two are partners. Look, she even has her own YouTube channel and website called Boredom Archives, which is pretty fun to look around. There's these animated shorts for her show thing called Pixie Park, which Liam and Tess have both been in, so that's pretty interesting. Even Cam, the voice of Max from Internecion Cube, was in one of them. And I found out he did this popular short animation thing that I saw on TikTok like months ago. I don't even know if these are really relevant. I just find it interesting that stuff like this animation and Pixie Park that I saw like months ago and just had the thought of, oh, that's a decent animation. I'm now learning a link to something else I like. Kind of reminds me of the Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. If you don't know, a bunch of people who worked on this show went on to go make other shows like Regular Show, Adventure Time and Gravity Falls, which then made other shows. Example, Dana Terrace worked on Gravity Falls and then went on to go make The Owl House, and as you probably know, now makes a show for Glitch Productions. Also, Gravity Falls was just a big inspiration for Liam Vickers, so good to see this all circles round. I'm sure everyone who worked on Cliffside was able to have something prove their skills and advance them in a way. Not just Liam, although it probably did help him the most as, well, he was the creator of it. It proved what he could do and helped him get some jobs in the animation industry, doing things like being a board artist. And of course, it was probably one of the things Kevin and Luke saw and then went, this is the guy we need to make our show. Which is good. I think Liam's the kind of person to where he has fun creating stuff, and that's why he has so many worlds. Point is, it helped a lot of people. Not just Liam, but definitely helped him. And I'm sure it also helped a lot of the fans. Liam's work has definitely inspired a lot of people to do their own stuff, and while there isn't any continuations or stories set in Cliffside like there is Murder Drones, seriously, there's so much Murder Drones fan continuation stuff, I thought it would be fun to look at the Cliffside fandom and see what they've been up to. The Cliffside Reddit was mostly full of fan art, and it looked pretty good, so credit to everyone who drew these. Searching Cliffside on YouTube, I mostly found edits, clips, people reacting to it, rambling about it like I am, and people dubbing it into different languages. How about the main place you'll see Cliffside stuff? That being the Liam Vickers Discord. There is plenty of fan stuff here, from people talking to even some amazing art. Look at this really cool art from a person called Mar. It's Joe and Cordy playing baseball. Just look at how cool this is. You can follow them on Twitter at MarzyBarzy, if I said that name right. Go follow them, they do really cool art. And, fun fact, they're the reason we know about Cordy's legs, as they won an art competition and Liam answered a question for them. They do a thing called LVA October, which is a play on Inktober. Each day of October you just draw a different Liam Vickers character. There's Murder Drones, Internecion Cube, Cliffside, a bunch of scary story stuff, Let's Split Up, like, it's all there. I did ask people on the Discord what their favourite thing about Cliffside was, or some of their favourite things, and received a couple of responses. Character and monster designs, Joe, and of course the simple and probably best answer, there's too much to talk about. Yeah, true. Personally, I'd say my favourite part has to be the monsters in the world. Just looking at all of this stuff makes me want more. I don't know, look at these, they're really cool. I'd say my favourite one has to go to the infection monster thing. This is kind of why I wanted to give a moment to talk about the designs and stuff earlier and mention stuff about like Cordy's legs, as I just find all of that really interesting, and I think Liam did a fantastic job with a lot of the designs for these. I don't know, it all just comes together to make it look really cool, and I feel like the world is open enough to where you can kind of make your own stuff up and do whatever you want. So, I don't know, go out there and make your Cliffside OC or something, or write your own Cliffside story. Go make a story about a modern day person who, because of the timey-wimey stuff, finds themselves stuck in the town of Cliffside. Or maybe an outlaw who finds themselves in the town, or bring in somebody who wants to take a picture of a cryptid to be famous, or maybe research them. Or make a monster yourself. Just do whatever you find fun. Fan content is what keeps stuff like this alive, and feel free to share it with me in the community because, one, I'm sure people in the community would like to see anything Cliffside related, and two, because I wouldn't mind going over even more Cliffside stuff, maybe doing an entire video on fan content, like checking out art or maybe some stories people have created. So if you have anything and you want to see me talk about it, or you just want to share it, go ahead and do that. I'm sure people will find your stuff as long as you just have the confidence to put yourself out there. So if you want to, go make some Cliffside stuff. Stories, characters, already existing ones or original ones, ranging from humans to animals to monsters, cryptid based or not, even aliens, like those big gorilla wolf motherfuckers. Just do whatever you find fun, and I'm sure some Cliffside fans will enjoy it. So if I'm still going with the title, Cliffside, a pilot that never took flight, I should probably explain that a bit. Imagine Cliffside as a plane, with Liam Vickers being the pilot. Liam and everyone else who worked on Cliffside made a demo video showing off the plane and everything it could do. That was then shared to the public, who really liked the plane and wanted to actually go on it and experience it. So Liam went around to some companies in hopes they could fund the plane and make it a real thing. However, for whatever reason, they didn't. It was just a bit on how the first episode of shows are called pilots. So, not really like any genius move there. Well, I'll conclude the video here as it's getting pretty long and I'm definitely not getting this out by October. As your quick explanation, Cliffside was made, people enjoyed it, Liam attempted to get a full version of it made going around to different companies, but for whatever reason, the companies didn't make it. However, Cliffside was still pretty good for Liam and a huge stepping stone in his career. It was able to get him other jobs in the animation industry and was probably one of the main things that got him the job with Glitch Productions, so he could create Murder Drones. While Cliffside itself didn't get a continuation, it's definitely not forgotten, with Liam still talking about it every once in a while and the fans keeping the project alive. There's tons of information that we've gone over in this video, showing that there is a huge world out there and a lot that Cliffside could do. And of course, I'm sure plenty of ideas Liam had for Cliffside found their way into Murder Drones, or any other project he had really. On the idea of a continuation of Cliffside, I doubt there will be any official continuation from Liam, as in another episode, although it is possible. Who knows, maybe 500 years from now Liam will return to the project. Maybe he'll be able to get somebody to fund it. But for now, the best you have is fan content, which I suggest you go make or go support. There's a ton of cool fan stuff that people make, and Cliffside wouldn't hurt having some more. I think just talking about his shows and showing that there is still love and care for them is a great way of supporting it. But if you do want a little bit more, there is stuff like his Patreon and even some merch on a site called Redbubble. So my final thoughts on the pilot itself is that it's fine. I did really enjoy it. I remember seeing it years ago just as like something I watched on YouTube and thought that was pretty good. And now years later I'm finding out it's by Liam Vickers after I found out Murder Drones and I liked that, so I found some of his other works and blah blah blah, fell down the rabbit hole. But yeah, Cliffside was a pretty good pilot. In its 11 minutes I think every character was shown off decently well. It got me interested in the world and what could have happened. The writing isn't perfect, but it's definitely got that Liam Vickers style of horror and comedy. And at the end of the day, it is a pilot, so you can give it a pass on a few issues. It did get its job done, that being making me interested in the characters and world. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty good pilot. I don't really have any complaints. The ending feels a little rushed, I guess, with how we just immediately skip over the fact that Whelan lied to Cordy and then he makes Death the sheriff, but it does kind of feel in character and fits with the show. And it could just be a time issue, as the original Cliffside was meant to be 22 minutes long before it got cut down. And I know a thing about cutting out a lot of content, as I ramble a lot for these videos and have to cut them down so much, and they still end up being so long. I definitely liked it, but I think Liam Vickers' stuff and just a lot of things in general are hit or misses. Just it might click with you and it might not. That's completely fine. I'd say give it a try. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed Cliffside. It sucks that it didn't continue, but it was able to get Liam into better positions, and it's nice that we still have something over it. It's good to know that it wasn't completely forgotten. Maybe one day Liam will come back to it, or maybe he's cooking something completely new. But either way, I'll be there to enjoy it, and hopefully you will too. That's most, if not everything, about Cliffside out the way. I mean, probably most. I don't think I found every little thing on Cliffside, but hopefully I got most of it in the video. So sorry if I missed anything. There's a lot of stuff all just scattered around the internet, so yeah, if there's anything missing, my apologies. I'm sorry I didn't summon Liam Vickers himself to tell me everything to know about Cliffside. Most of the information found came from the video itself, the Discord, or his Tumblr, or any other official sort of Liam Vickers site. Once again, thank you to the person in the Discord who pinned everything and made it very accessible and easy to read. And thank you to everyone I talked to in there. It was very nice talking to all of you. Here's some of the music used. If you liked the video, do comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. This took a while to make, and a lot of research and re-editing bits as I kept finding out new information. The next video will either be Globlety, Toblety, however you pronounce it, or Let's Split Up. I'll let you guys take the decision. They're both Liam Vickers projects. One's a pilot from a discontinued channel, and the other's Let's Split Up, a story about Wendigos and all that. There'll be an option to watch some other videos, which you can do. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. As usual, I hope you have a good day, and in case I don't see you again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.